Welcome to Everyday Lessons in the Bible. Today I was in Isaiah and I did chapters 1 through 3. And so this one, the people of God don't seem to really know him. They, go to all the festivals and they make their sacrifices, but they don't really know God. They don't have a relationship with God. They've kind of gone their own way, do their own thing, and they don't really want somebody telling them what to do, how to do it. So at this time, they're just kind of doing their own thing. And no matter how beat up they are from life, and they still don't turn to the Lord. They just stay stuck in their evil ways. And they do these sacrifices, of the animals. And it's a way to cleanse them of their sins when they do these sacrifices. But God is saying he doesn't want the sacrifice. What he's really saying is, I want you. I want you to lay down your life and come to me. And the sacrifice is supposed to be like that thought process. Like you're coming to God and saying, Lord, I lay down my life. When they sacrifice animals, it's a way of saying, Lord, I lay down my life. I die to myself. I give my life to you. But they had gotten to where the sacrifice was just a ritual. It was just something that they did in order to be forgiven of their sins. So it was kind of like, we'll go do whatever we want to do, and then we'll sacrifice, and God will forgive us. And that's just not the way God works, and that's what he started getting really frustrated with, is, saying to them, I don't want your sacrifices, I want you. And if you think about in people today, you have people that go to church, they tithe, they seem like good people, but in their hearts they are wicked. They haven't surrendered their life fully to the Lord, and they don't allow God to work in and through their lives. So they're kind of like these people, where you do the bare minimum. You do what, like a checklist, of what you think God needs you to do in order for you to be right with the Lord. And God is saying, no, like you are being evil. I want you. I want your heart. And to stop doing what is wrong. Stop doing what you think is right in your own eyes and do what is right that God's asking you to do. And so God is pleading with them to turn to him and stop doing evil, and that he will make all things right if you will turn to him. But you have to be willing, and you have to be, to not only be willing to lay down your life, but willing to obey whatever God has for you. And that people that are faithful and just is good, and they want to do what is right in God's eyes. They want to live a godly life, and not just do whatever they want to do. And you think about that today. People today do whatever they think is right in their own eyes. They do not follow what the Word of God says. And this is the reality. Every knee will bow. In the end, every knee will bow. It doesn't matter what you think, what you believe, or how evil you are, or how far you've turned from God, or how much you've rejected God. Every knee will bow. Every knee will bow in reverence to who God is, and with all the shame and guilt that's going to come along with that of, oh my goodness, you are really real and you are powerful, and who am I, And it says during that time that God's throne will be set. He is the highest mountain. He is the high priest. He will be set above everything. His ways, his path is the only way, And he will judge the nations. And he is the light of the world. His word is the lamp unto our feet. It's the word of God is the light. It is the way. It is the only way. You can think there's a better way or another way or a way for you to be, deceitful and evil or do what you want. But that is not a way. There is only one way. So don't be deceived by those who seem to have it all together, or that everything's going great for them and they flaunt it all around, because God is going to humble them. And you don't want to be around those kind of people who are truly evil, because you don't realize that they're evil because they walk around with their head held high and like they've got it all together, and and act like they're better than you, and they are full of pride and they think they know it all. God's going to humble them. So you don't want to be near them when God decides to do that. And God will be exalted no matter what. And the Lord will come against those who live how they want and who think they know it all and are full of pride. God will humble them. And, it's just crazy when you think about it, because a lot of this book, or a lot of this chapter, is really talking about, end times, Armageddon, the time when the Lord comes back to establish his throne here. And when the Lord returns, those that worship idols, and idols is anything that you put above God, those who worship, praise, whatever, they make their idols their own or whatever, when the Lord comes, they will leave all of that stuff and run and hide into caves or wherever they can get. But the Lord is everywhere, so you can't hide from him. And then it talks about, which is a little prophetic thing, is it talks about the waters will be shut off. Well, in Revelations, it talks about how the Euphrates River will be shut off. And it will dry the land up. And so this whole area, it really talks about, it gives the impression of the end times. And then it goes on to talk about how the younger will rise over the older in different instances. And it reminded me of when in the wilderness, when the children of Israel were wandering around in the wilderness. If you'll remember, the older people didn't trust God. And they wouldn't go into the promised land because they didn't have the faith and the trust in the Lord, which you would have thought they would have by that point because of all the miracles God did of rescuing them from Egypt. And so then God got so irritated with them that he was like, you know what? Until this generation has died, you're not going to go in the promised land. The younger generation, they will know how to trust me, and then I will let them into the promised land. And that's what this sounds like to me. And I just think about how, you don't want the older our generations or the older generations to have to pass away before God moves, because he needs the younger generation that is wise, is learning how to trust in the Lord. Like you're killing off all the evil ways, and so that you only have a generation that knows who God is and trust him. We don't need to wait for that. We can change and be that way now. We can learn to fully trust in the Lord. And, and then it kind of alludes back to what I was talking about in the end of chapter 3, how you're going to see people that have it all together. And it's talking about women. It's talking about, if you visualize women that walk around all prim and proper with their hair all fixed, and they got all the jewels, and they walk around as if they are marvelous or whatever. But this doesn't necessarily mean women. It's just talking about anybody that walks around. It just gives you that image or that picture, walking around like they have it all together and everything is wonderful. But really, and they're walking around like snobs. But the reality is that God knows your heart. And it's kind of alluding to, like, they go to the festivals with their robes on. And I think about how, like, you have the festivals for the Lord in Israel. And I think about how, it's kind of like people that go to church and they have it all together and they make everybody think that, oh, they're so wonderful and they don't have any problems or whatever. But they really do, they really do. And nobody ever sees it. And maybe they have evil in their heart. Maybe they're not truly a Christian. Maybe they just act like they're a Christian, and they come to church and, and they're just falsifying their witness, I guess you would say. And so God is saying, look, I know your heart. I know what's really in there. And so we always have to be careful with that. And I know sometimes people may think for me that I have it all together or whatever. And, but I'm really hurting on the inside. And I think it's truly important for us to be transparent in our walk with the Lord. And I am transparent with the people that are close to me. I may not be that way with people who don't know me, but I've just not let them into my inner circle, I guess you would say. But it is important to, be careful with what's in our heart. Make sure that our heart is pure and that it's for the Lord, and that we always lean towards God and His faithfulness. All right, have a blessed day.